Guys, today I want to talk about my problem with Bitcoin and all of the altcoins right now. And it's a big problem. And it's a problem as well because they all are doing the exact same thing. And whenever you have confluence across the entire altcoins and Bitcoin, usually it's not a surprise if it happens. Okay. And so I'm going to talk about my biggest problem here in a minute. It's going to coincide with this trade that we had yesterday. So let me just very quickly talk about the trade that we had yesterday because, like I said, it kind of lines up. Yesterday's trade was very simple. Okay, we had a little range, we had a manipulation event of the range, we induced traders to go long, and then we had our expansion down. And we were live on YouTube actually during this trade yesterday. Okay, so if you're not subscribed already, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell because I frequently go live scalping. And we were up here actually at the time that I went live. So you could have had 4%, give or take, move to the downside. And it was quite easy, okay? And the reason why it was quite easy is because of liquidity. Liquidity is a huge thing in the markets, and we know that liquidity is one of the reasons why the market moves, and that the market makers will always attack your liquidity despite what news events or what bullish news or whatever else you're hearing, okay? Whatever the sentiment is. They will always attack liquidity because this game is not a charity. So, yesterday's trade was quite easy because as you can see by this little curve, you had a lot of liquidity that we could come up to, okay? We had a big move to the upside relatively, right? We're on the 30-minute time frame. Big move to the upside. No liquidity was engineered. No stop losses were taken. And so there you go. You had a big move to the downside. Now, why am I talking about yesterday's scalp trade if we're talking about the overall macro move here? And it's because it doesn't really look that different if you really can, zoom out here and just visualize. It's not that hard. We have a lot of liquidity beneath us that we didn't engineer. And the problem with this is we never had a proper accumulation down at these lows. Now, I'm fully aware that we're in a bull market, we're in up-only mode, and that, you can't really only pay attention to liquidity because they don't have to come back for liquidity, and I'm fully aware of that. However, we do need to be aware of it, and we do need to be aware that in the event that certain levels get lost, which we're going to go over here in just a second, things can get real ugly real quick, okay? And so just like the liquidity that we had yesterday, we have a lot of liquidity beneath us. And although many people are saying that this is a macro accumulation, which it is a reaccumulation, but although people are saying it's a macro accumulation, that is true. It could be, right? And we've had a big move to the upside. That's undeniable, right? That's a fact. We also more locally, right? We're on the 4-hour time frame. Within this area here, we never had an accumulation. And when you don't have an accumulation like this, you leave a lot of liquidity behind. And when you start breaking structure to the downside, that becomes the target. Similarly to how yesterday's scalp trade, that low up here now was my target. Okay. And so we got to be aware of that. In addition to that, we've talked about this on the channel many, many times. I'm actually going to come to a different Bitcoin chart here, and I'm going to show you these two lines. And I've said this when we were at the very highs, and I've said this when we were at the very lows. In my opinion, look at how close Bitcoin was to the all-time high. We were 2.5% away from the all-time high, okay? And we never touched the high. Why? Well, we know the crypto market, and all markets for that matter, move based on liquidity, rebalancing an imbalance, or to generate liquidity. And this line is an imbalance. In other words, Bitcoin has still not rebalanced its imbalance. And to me, it just makes more sense still to hit this line before we hit this line. Because if this is going to be a macro move to the upside, in my opinion anyway, this line needs to get hit before this one. If the all-time high gets hit before this line gets hit, things are way more macro bearish, and I personally don't believe that the cycle is over yet. So, adding on the fact that we have a bunch of liquidity beneath us, we know we did not mitigate this zone, things are not looking good. Now, if we pull up Market Cipher, okay, nice sponsor of the channel, you're also starting to get a daily bearish divergence while you had red money flow. Look at how you have this entire move to the upside and money's still in the red. That's not the best sign, but now you're getting a daily SFP of the SFP. Okay, so you have two SFPs here. You're very, very clearly, we're starting to show weakness, and you have a bearish divergence. Not to mention, we have a monthly red dot that we cannot ignore, okay? And so while everybody here is saying, oh yeah, we're so bullish, we're going to all-time high, I think that there's a lot of reason for us not to go to all-time high. But something a little bit interesting about this SFP and this bearish divergence is to circle back around yesterday's scalp trade, because guys, the plot twist is it wasn't even a scalp trade. It was a swing trade. And this is a level that I gave in advance to my VIP members and targets that are much lower than where we are right now. Now, whether they come into fruition or not, we're going to have to see depending on structure, which we're going to talk about in a minute. We're going to be talking about this line. But we did have macro resistance. We did come and we did come and mitigate a macro order block up at these highs, and we had signs of a distribution and a manipulation as per my scalp trade. Okay, so now I want to talk about this line. In my opinion, this line, 63456, is the most important level now on Bitcoin, because I have no question that price can come down. Obviously, price can do whatever it wants to do. But if we start to lose 63456 and you start to get daily candle closes, okay, daily candle closes with conviction below these levels, not only do you now flip your daily structure bearish, which, by the way, if you SFP the highs, which we have, this automatically becomes the target. So that's already the target. But if we start to close below, then your daily structure just flipped bearish. And guys, I can tell you with very strong confidence, if your daily structure flips bearish, we're very likely going to come to this level. And it's very simple, because we have all that liquidity. And similarly to our trade setup that we had yesterday that we talked about already a couple times, what happens when you have liquidity and you flip structure bearishly? Boom, down you go to wreck all of the longs, okay? Now, the reason I brought up altcoins are because virtually every single altcoin did the exact same thing. Ethereum is notoriously known for not taking liquidity, okay? But look at this. Like, Ethereum doesn't look great already. Locally speaking, Ethereum is building up a lot of liquidity. But if we zoom out on the 4-hour time frame, exact same thing that Bitcoin did, okay? Exact same thing. Did not get a proper accumulation at the lows, built up liquidity, can go much lower, okay? And you can apply this on every single altcoin. Look, did not, look at this. Look how garbage ADA looks. Look at that, right? All that liquidity. Did not have a proper accumulation, can easily rinse it down. Solana is looking the strongest out of everything, I would say, or out of like most of the coins, or it's one of the stronger ones. And if I hide all my TA here real quick, I'm going to show you why. Because Solana, let me just hide this. Because Solana actually, what did it do? Solana actually took its low again. So Solana actually showed signs of an accumulation down at the low. Now, the problem with Solana is it has a macro low that it hasn't taken yet. So Solana can still come down. But I was saying from, I don't even know how many dollars ago, $50 ago, $60 ago, that Solana was looking relatively the strongest, and it's because it swept liquidity. It actually did something, whereas these other coins, look at Caspa, right? Somebody asked me on Twitter the other day, how does Caspa look? And it looks kind of the same as Bitcoin in that SFP after SFP after SFP. Yes, it could break out, right? Everything is based around probabilities. However, we are getting those divergences. We are getting those 4-hour spike waves and those daily divergences. And we do have all this liquidity. And the reason this liquidity happens is because nothing was ever purged. And so when you don't have proper accumulations like this and the entire market is showing you confluence, I mean, guys, it is what it is. You can't ignore it. And like we learned in the last video, you definitely cannot say that nothing can happen or nothing can't happen. You can never say never when it comes to these markets. You have to be aware that anything is possible at all times, always. And so if we do end up dumping and we don't actually end up coming to all-time high, I actually think that in the macro of it, it will be more bullish. And I don't think that the bull market is over, but I don't think that we've had enough of a move to the downside. I don't think we hit this level. We didn't actually accomplish anything when coming down in July to come up to the all-time high. And it's just very simple. It doesn't make sense for me in my mind. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, okay? But it doesn't make sense for me, to me, that they would be 2.5% away from the all-time high and bring it all the way back down just to not mitigate this zone and then bring it up. It just doesn't make sense for them to do that in my mind, okay? And so, you know, there is a little bit of caution, right? And again, if Bitcoin closes below this low on the daily time frame, I'm going to be targeting much lower. Now, things get a little bit worse than that. We are in a very important level of resistance right now. Not only do I think that the weekly high is in from yesterday, but we're in a very important level of resistance, okay? Very, very important. And let me pull it up here. That level right here is between 67 and 67.3. Very important resistance. And I'll tell you why. In this resistance, you have your macro up volume point of control. In other words, when we're trying to find our order blocks in order for you to find where the most volume is on that up move, which, by the way, this up move that we had over the past 4 weeks has not only been up only, but 3 out of 4 of the past 4 weeks, it was news-driven events, Trump getting shot and all that, and Biden resigning, etc. And then now Trump's speech this past weekend. But it was news event driven, and it was all on the weekends, leaving us CME gaps below, which gives us more confluence that we may come down and roll over. Okay. Now we have our macro up volume point of control. We got our local point of control. We have our range point of control. We have the macro range point of control, all giving us confluence at the same level, right at the top when you're getting SFPs and when you have a nice distribution, a nice manipulative event at the top. Sorry, I'm stumbling my words today, but I'm not going to edit it out, whatever. And now we're below it. Okay. So you really, for strength, you really got to see us get back above here and hold above here. But truthfully, I don't think that that's going to happen. Like I said, I think that the weekly high is in. I think that we are destined for much lower, even locally speaking. We're on the 30-minute time frame. We have a lot of liquidity beneath us. And so, in my opinion, once again, the most important line really comes to, it's actually not even that line. It's this line here. The most important line on Bitcoin, the most important price is 63448. You start losing daily candles below 63448. Things are not looking good. Any retracement we get, if we get something like this, any retracement we get, I will be looking to giga short it down to 52K and potentially much lower in the event that we get the confirmations. Now, I understand that this is not what people want to hear, okay? However, on my channel, I keep things real, okay? I don't lie to you. I don't say up only. I don't, market cipher looks like shit. The money, you're getting the spike waves on the 4-hour time frame. We can't ignore that. You're getting daily bearish divergences. You can't ignore that. On the 1-hour time frame, if we were to pull up market cipher A, we started getting our yellow X's yesterday. We cannot ignore that. Okay, so we are getting bearish signs across the map here. And I'm not saying, again, look, I don't want it to go down necessarily. I mean, I do, but I'm not saying this because I want it to go down. And I'm not saying this because I want to make everybody else believe that it's going to go down. I'm saying this because I keep things real on the chart. I don't tell you guys up only when it doesn't need to go up only. I've been, openly cautious. I don't want to say bearish. People call me a perma bear. That's fine. Call me a perma bear. I don't care. But I've been openly cautious for reasons like this. And these reasons, I believe at the very least, make sense. And I think if you think that this doesn't make sense just because it's a bull market and it has to go up only, then I think that you're lying to yourself. So look, we had a nice move to the downside. We left a lot of liquidity. We just came up and we grabbed a lot of that liquidity. But in my opinion, the macro of it still stands. It doesn't make sense to me for us to touch the all-time high before we touch 53,090. Are we going to do it? Absolutely not. Is it possible that we break out? Absolutely. Is it possible that we take all-time high, range above it, or SFP the all-time high, and then go down heavily? Yes, it is. But I don't think that the bull market is over, and I think that this gives you this opens the door for the bull market being over. So in my opinion, if you're macro bullish on Bitcoin and you're macro bullish on this crypto cycle, which has already been broken, you should actually want it to touch 53,090 before it touches the all-time high. That's just my opinion, because other than that, things can get very ugly very, very quickly. And remember, I keep things real with you. In addition to that, I want to very quickly talk about dominance. I've been openly bullish on dominance for quite some time, okay? Despite market cipher looking relatively not the best at certain points, I've been saying, guys, I think dominance is going to continue to rise. I still think it's going to continue to rise. And in the event that my analysis, I'm not going to say is correct because I'm giving two scenarios here, but in the event that we start to lose this line at 63.4, okay? If you start to lose this on the daily time frame and dominance continues to rise, which I believe dominance will continue to rise either way, if this happens, your altcoins will bleed. And I've been saying it for a very long time. Certain altcoins will make new bear market lows. And if you don't believe me, one of them have already made a new bear market low, and his name is Atom USDT. Atom made a new bear market low, just as I'm predicting that potentially ADA may make a new bear market low, and a lot of these other coins may make a new bear market low. So this is really my problem that I have with the entire crypto market, okay? It's not looking as bullish as everyone is making it seem. And in my mind, at least, we do have a lot of reason to go down right now, okay? And look, even if you don't agree with my opinion, okay? Because again, here I just do technical analysis every day. I teach you guys why the market moves the way that it does. You can't, I would say that you can't even argue that this doesn't look good. Like, this is a fact. We have a daily bearish divergence. This is not an opinion. This is a fact, right? And so I'm taking that into consideration. I'm taking that into consideration. I'm fully aware that my narrative in my mind makes sense. Again, if I'm wrong, then we will make adjustments. That's fine. But for now, I don't think I'm wrong, and we'll have to wait and see. So I do think these coins can get very bearish very quickly. I'm also bullish on dominance. I talked about this on live yesterday. I am bullish on dominance. So we'll have to keep our eye on dominance. Look at the money flow coming in on dominance right now, on USDT dominance rather. So I am bullish on dominance. It's looking pretty good for a continued move to the upside. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to monitor it all. But right now we're getting a little bit of a dump, and I don't think it's that surprising. Truthfully, I don't. I don't think it's that surprising. I mean, look, you got the spike waves on the 4-hour time frame. That's undeniable. While you came into a macro level, like we came into a swing short zone. So anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. If you like the content, make sure to hit the like button. If you love it, make sure to subscribe with the notification bell, because like I said in the beginning of the video, I do scalp streams quite often. And yesterday I made a stream, and we were down 4% since I started the stream. So you could have caught that move with me, and I made a very clear case. I talked about the trade very extensively. And so not only could you catch the moves and understand what I'm thinking, but you can also use it as a little bit of an educational moment for you to, in case you don't understand, or in case you're a little bit more confused as to what might be going on in the market and you just want another perspective. Not saying I'm the king of the market and I know everything, but just in case you need another point of view. Aside from that, guys, the link for Market Cypher is in the description down below. Shouts out to the sponsor. Aside from that, I hope you guys have a good week. I think the weekly high is in. We'll have to see. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. Time will tell, but hope you guys have a good week. Trade safe. Protect your capital, guys. Don't get caught up in the noise, okay? I'm not saying it can't go to all-time high, but I'm also not saying that it can't go to 52K like a lot of these other guys are saying, because yes, it can.